Welcome to IB's Twist on Sports. We're into week 8 already, Bob.
God, gravy. Where's time?
So I guess we're at the point of no
return.
But I didn't play that song for them. I'm going to have a little bit of a rant here to start the show. This is Seminole Bob, Irish Bill. We're at Culver's in downtown Navarre, block and a half from the bridge leading out to beautiful Navarre Beach. We're here every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. As long as the high school football season is going on, we're here.
We're here.
Thank Honey and Randy Smith for allowing us to come into their establishment here in Navarre for the last 7 years.
Time flies.
But the reason I played that song, in fact, both of my songs I'm playing tonight have a theme. Why I am playing this.
Bill.
Well, we're going to go back to Saturday night. Yes, folks, yes, Notre Dame football.
Hey, Shanky. I just wanted to say hi, Shanky.
Hey, Shanky.
Texas Rangers.
Texas Rangers, yeah. I jumped on the Texas Rangers bandwagon in the playoffs because I don't have a team. My team's been pushed out since the end of May, so I'm going with Shanky's Texas Rangers. But my point of no return is if Notre Dame cannot win this game Saturday night with USC coming in, we'll give them their third loss. I think the 2023 season will be a point of no return for this season only. Not the future, just the 2023 season.
Bill, you got to stick with your team. Listen, I picked Florida State when they had – who was the coach that left Florida State and went down to Florida Atlantic? Willie Taggart. I still picked Florida State.
No, this is their punishment from me. I am not picking you this week. I can tell you one of my picks already. USC will come in, and they will probably put 40 up on Notre Dame and beat them some like 40-24 or 40-27.
You don't think that they barely beat Arizona last week?
Yeah, they put up 40-some points, though.
You don't think they were looking ahead, do you?
They could have. I mean, if you look at every statistics in that game, Arizona outnumbered USC in every facet of the game in that game. Yeah. And they're just fortunate that
they didn't come out with a loss.
They're very fortunate. But I gave them last week against Louisville. I thought they were totally unprepared. The offensive game plan was horrendous. I have not seen the Notre Dame offensive line. I would have put Navarre's offensive line out there ahead of Notre Dame's last week. Probably could have done a better job.
Could be.
Notre Dame continuously has one of the best offensive lines in the country, but they did not prove it last week. And Coach Giglia, his offensive game plan last week was, especially on third down, his play calling was atrocious. But one thing that really bothers me, I'm getting tired of this coaches speak. At the end of a game, when you don't come out and perform to your potential, the coach says, put it on my shoulders. You know what? I'm tired of that coach speak.
Well, he's owning up to it.
He is owning up to it, but, and I may be off base here, the man makes a lot of money. Your job is to put your team in the best situation to win the ball game. He did not do that last week. So he let down not only his team, but his fan base last week in that game against Louisville. My rant coming at the beginning of the show instead of the end.
What year? How many years has he been there? 2.
This is his second year.
Yeah, and Notre Dame fans got to expect there's going to be some of that. There's going to be some mistakes that are going to be made, and so.
Shaky could be worse, Bob. He could be a Bears fan. Well, I'm one of those too, but we actually got the win last week, Shanky. So my weekend was not bad because Navarre won on Friday night. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame lost Saturday, and the Bears won on Thursday night.
And the Packers lost last night.
So my weekend was not all bad, just Saturday night.
Just like Meatloaf. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Well.
Or is it 3 out of 4 ain't bad?
Yeah, that too. 2 out of 3 is the song, but anyways, that's enough. I'm going to get off that tirade. And the other song you got to play goes to another team out there, And I think it's appropriate that I play it during the show at some time. And when we come back from our first segment, we'll play that song as well. But Navarre holds on. Defense, you know what? They're getting to the point now where it's bend but not break. And on 2 different occasions last week, Mosley was driving inside the Raiders' 10. The young man was going for the end zone. Vinny Villanova came out of nowhere, gave him one pop. Then Connor Black gave him the other pop. And just so happened Johnny on the spot was Darius Cunningham as the ball popped into the air on the 2-yard line, and the Raiders took over. Mosley would drive back down, 4th and 2. They were 4 for 4 on the night going into that 4th down.
And you knew what was coming.
Yes. And it was going to be Sammy Freitas. Just mattered what the play call was going to be. Was it going to be right or was it going to be left?
They went left. I can't remember any time Freitas ran right. Do you?
Now that you say that, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, it was not Johnny on the spot. It was Joshua on the spot with the big hit to stop Mosley on 4th and 2 at the Raiders' 7. And the Raiders would run out the clock from there in a 35-31 win.
You know, I wonder if because of that fumble, if they had second-guessed just a straight handoff. Because in the second half, they ran the ball pretty well. Their offensive line was dominating. I don't know.
You know what? And I went back and watched the game on Sunday morning, as I always do. And one thing I noticed is I think they gave the play away. Because on the previous play, they ran the play. And Navarre had just called timeout. Well, they came out and they ran the same exact play that they were going to run.
Boy.
And to me, it looked like they were going to do a jet sweep to Jack Massey because Massey that guy is incredible when he gets the ball in his hands.
If he can't get 2 yards, then you need to hang it up.
Correct. So I think they kind of gave away the play, and Navarre called timeout, and I think they set up for just that play. And
why wouldn't Mosley change the play on that?
Maybe I'm off base with that.
I don't think so.
But they ran Massey in motion, just like they did before Navarre called timeout, and they did the same thing. Maybe to try to get another blocker over there. Well, Massey's not very big, so I'm not sure it was that reason to get another blocker over there.
Right.
But I think they gave up the play that they were going to run.
Crazy. Well, it was to Navarre's advantage. That's the bottom line.
Most definitely, they improved to 4-2. Now the district barrage starts.
Man, boom, boom, and triple boom.
2 games on the road. One that finished up with their last home game in Week 9 against Gulf Breeze. The Raiders travel up north to Milton to take on the Panthers, who've been struggling all year. If they get through that one, they would go to 2-0 in district. But Pace has himself a matchup this week against a very, very hot offensive Tate. And that's going to be one heck of a matchup out at Tate this Friday night.
Oh, God, I wish I could
So
go to
this
that
Friday
game.
night could decipher a lot of what's going on in District 1.
Or make it more cloudy.
That it could. But you got Navarre at 1-0. Tate's at 1-0.
0-1.
Actually, Tate is 1-1.
1-1.
Pace is 1-0. So if Tate knocks off Pace, that's one loss for them. They both are 2-1. Navarre, actually, Pace would drop to 1-1, and Tate would improve to 2-1. And Navarre, if they win on Friday night, they would go to 2-0, kind of in the driver's seat. But that next matchup is at Pace.
Yep.
And then we go to Week 9, and you've got Gulf Breeze. I mean, every time those two teams get together, it's going to be hell on wheels.
Well, throw the records out, the old cliche, throw the records out. But it's senior night. It's at home. Potentially last home game for a lot of these seniors. Means a little something extra, I think.
And the Publix Beach Bowl Cup on the line.
Right.
Which Navarre has dominated the series when it comes to the Cup. But enough high school talk. Well, we're going to have a little bit more high school talk because we got to tell you who's in our top 7. We had a little bit of a jostling going on between the top 7 teams with the large schools. Small schools pretty much stayed the same. We had a couple drop a little bit in the standings. So here we go. The large schools, Niceville stays at 1, Escambia 2. I'm very close to putting Escambia over Niceville because I love the way that they're playing this year. And they got a big game coming up this week as well against Choctaw.
Yep.
Pace stands in the 3 spot. Navarre catapults into the 4 spot, just ahead of Choctaw at 4-2. Tate moves into the 6 spot. Mosley drops out of the top 7. And Pine Forest drops all the way down to number 7. And they got a encounter with none other than the big bully on campus this week in the state of Florida.
IMG out of Bradenton then that's the national team they're playing, correct?
That's correct. They played Bartram Trail last week, and I think they put up 50-something on Bartram Trail. Bartram Trail did score 20, but it wasn't even close. I think Pine Forest has 2 players, Division I players on their team that I can, off the top of my head, Mikkel Brock Jr. is definitely a D1 player, and their left tackle is headed to your school,
FSU.
Jonathan Daniel. So still don't think it's going to be much of a game. Small schools, Walton stays on top, Catholic at 2. Holmes County moves up to the 3 spot, putting up a lot of points this year. Bozeman stays unbeaten. They're at number 4 as they move ahead of Mariana, who drops to 5. West Florida drops to 6. And Destin's going to have to prove me wrong as I keep them in the top 7 at number 7. But they got a tough one coming up this week against 4-1 Chipley.
Yep.
Okay. Now it's time to move over to our offensive player of the week. A lot of great games, a lot of great performances by our young men in the panhandle of Florida and all the way over near the Big Bend line. But this week's has to go to Walton's Wells Bentonhausen. 21 of 26, 406 yards, 2 TDs passing, and 2 rushing TDs as well, as they put a hurting on Mariana 48-14 this past Friday night. We're not going to have to go very far for our defensive player of the game. In fact, if we walked out Culver's and walked down the road, and we keep going and then take a left, we're going to go right to Navarre High School, where Vinny Villanova is our defensive player of the week. Vinny finished the night with 20 tackles, 12 solo, 8 assists, and a caused fumble at the goal line to secure the Raiders' 35-31 victory on Friday night. Your defensive player of the week from Navarre, Vinny Villanova, only a junior as well. Next, we're going to head over to our special teams. We did start a lot with kickers at the beginning, but we've had some great performances out of our return games. And this week, nonetheless, we're going to head to Pine Forest as Mikkel Brock Jr. had 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. Get this, Bob, 95 and 97 yards.
You think they'd learned on the first one.
And he also had a 52-yard touchdown run as well and 2 two-point conversions. So a nice night for Mikkel Brock. On any other night, might be our offensive player of the game, but tonight he is our special teams player of the game.
That was Pine Forest, right?
Pine Forest against Niceville.
And
they kept him in the game.
Yep.
Niceville kicked a late field goal, a short one, and they pulled out a 31-28 victory after they went to the half up 14-0. So there are your Panhandle Power Rankings 1 through 7. I'm going to post on my website and also on my Facebook page all the other performances because there were some good ones. And I'll just go over a couple there. Gulf Breeze Battle Albertson, another 300-yard night, 333 yards and a score. John Nicholas getting very consistent each week for West Florida, 12 of 18, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 60 yards rushing and another score. You go over to Niceville's DJ Robinson, 25 carries, 201 yards, 3 scores. Cottondale's Jacarian Garrett, 23 carries, 202 yards, and 2 scores. Andre Spence for Navarre also pitched in 20 tackles. He had 9 solo and 11 assists.
Crazy.
Our kickers, Choctaw Sam King, went 9 for 9 and 2 for 3 on field goals last week. So he scored 15 points in the Choctaw 66-30 win. Imagine scoring 30 and getting a running clock against you.
It was a thumping.
You don't see that too often.
No.
But there's our Super 7 large schools: Niceville, Escambia, Pace, Navarre, Choctaw, Tate, Pine Forest. Our small schools: Walton, Catholic, Holmes County, Bozeman, Mariana, West Florida, and Destin. Our players of the week: offensive, Walton quarterback Wells Bentonhausen; defensive player, Navarre's linebacker Vinny Villanova; and special teams, Pine Forest's return man Mikel Brock Jr., as he returned 2 kickoffs for 95 and 97 yards.
So your small schools was Walton and Catholic, and they meet this week.
Yes, indeed.
That's
so
good.
that will decide pretty much decide who will rule the roost on the small schools. That's you're probably saying, well, what determines large schools, small schools? Well, I'm glad you asked, Bob.
What determines small schools and big schools, Bill?
Well, large schools is Class 3S and 4S.
Mm-hmm.
And small schools is 1R, 1 Rural, 1S, and 2S, and independent with Destin and Lighthouse. So
If Florida High School Activity Association makes the changes, what are you going to do next year?
we'll have to rearrange it and see how it goes. But we're going back to 7. So
Perhaps.
So
Yeah.
I would see probably going rural through 3A, and then maybe 4A through 7A for large schools, something to that nature, if it passes. Because that's one thing that is on the possible chopping block going forward.
Could be. And remember, the setup as it was now, or is now, was not unanimous. It was something like a 12-7 or 12-8 vote type thing with the Florida High School Association Board of Directors.
Yeah. So we're going to head out for our first commercial break. This hour is Bill, Seminole Bob. It's IB's Twist on Sports. I kind of changed that up a little bit. I think it sounds a little bit better. We're at Culver's in downtown Navarre. We're going to head out commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Craig Culver of Culver's.
Before farm to table, before field to fork, there was just good, wholesome food. Grown by America's farm families, prepared fresh at Culver's, and always served with a smile. We still cook every Butterburger to order using fresh 100% Midwest beef and craft our frozen custard right in the restaurant using family farm fresh dairy. So thank you, farmers. Welcome to Delicious.
A strong work ethic takes pride in a job well done. This is the kind of person you need. Express Employment Professionals can help because we understand what it takes to hire the right person. It takes real people, real interviews. We find good people, matching the right skills with the right jobs from the production floor to the front office. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. If buying, selling, or building a dream home is in your future, you need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes and Stacy Wright are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or selling experience smooth. See University at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call 850-396-0322.
All Dry is 100% veteran-owned and operated. They have a proven process that guarantees customer satisfaction along with job completion to industry standards. In addition to water and mold remediation, they hold certifications in fire and smoke odor control cleanup, trauma, crime scene, and biohazard cleanup. If you're in the Gulf Coast region, including areas in Florida, Alabama, and Mississippi, you can rely on All Dry 24/7, 365. And you can find them on the World Wide Web at www.myalldry.com/Gulf Coast region.
Thinking about selling your property? Call Ursula Householder of Coldwell Banker Realty in Navarre now. The consultation is free, and Ursula uses the best tools the industry has to offer. Her years as a top producer, relocation specialist, and Florida military market specialist will help you get the desired result. If you are buying, Ursula's experience will help you make an informed decision to find the right home for you. And if you mention this advertisement, Ursula will donate $100 to the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club when the deal closes. To find out if you qualify for any of the military rewards, call or text 850-642-5711 or email ursula.householder@cbrealty.com or go to urhouseholderhomes.com. That's urhouseholderhomes.com. Go Raiders! Great teams have great support. The Navarre Raiders have one of the best support organizations, the Navarre Raiders Quarterback Club. All the members see to it that the Raiders have all available necessities to keep the Raiders on track, whether it's seeing to it that they're properly fed, have good transportation, or making sure that all Raider fans can watch and hear all exciting Navarre Raider football action. The Navarre Raider Quarterback Club is there to make it happen. Thanks, Navarre Raider Quarterback Club, for your support of your winning Navarre Raiders on IrishBillSports.com.
Welcome back to Culver's and Navarre. It's IB's Twist on Sports. It's Irish Bill with Seminole Bob, and it's time to get right in the picks. You'll probably say, why didn't I play music leading into this? Well, I'm going to save that music for when we switch over to college.
Have you missed me these last 2 weeks, Bill?
You got to get that mic a little closer there, Bob. There we go.
Have you missed me?
Of course.
The last 2 weeks, Bill.
I always miss you when you don't show up here, Bob. But anyways, enough of that stuff. Well, last week, guys, Joe, I'm getting tired of you winning. Well, Joe goes 22-3 last week on our high school picks.
Good gravy.
I was one game back at 21-4. You did a little bit better this week, 20-5.
Okay.
And Paul's getting used to picking games. He brought up the rear at 17-8.
Ooh.
So,
Paul.
So Joe has built up a 4-game lead over me and an 11-game over you.
Yikes.
I know, that's kind of ugly. Well, it's time for a new week.
New week. Turn the page.
I did turn the page. Maybe I should have played Bob Seger's song right there. Turn the page. Well, not a whole lot of difference. We'll get Paul's picks tomorrow night.
Okay.
But for tonight, we have our picks. And we're going to start. Pine Forest takes the long road trip of the year as they head down to Bradenton, Florida to take on IMG Academy. The Ascenders are the number 1 team in the state of Florida overall, and they ranked in the top 10 in the nation.
Ugh.
And the Eagles, not going to land this week. So the Ascenders will rise to the top.
Ooh. But as Coach says, never know. That's why they play the game.
But all three of us are going with IMG Academy. Next, we have a District 2 matchup that could help decide District 2. Leon heading to Childs, but unfortunately, Niceville already has wins over both.
Yep.
So they're in the driver's seat, but this game could decide who may be the number 2 team coming out of District 2S. Leon at Childs. Joe going with Leon. Bob and I going with Childs at home. What you got? Got any?
No, Lincoln flexed, baby. They were like Georgia Bulldogs. They flexed their muscles.
Yeah. Next, we're going to head over. We're going to stay in Tallahassee. Godby heading to Florida High. Godby just played great the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Florida High coming off a very big loss against a very, very good Carrollwood Day team. And it was not even close, 37-6 or 36-7, something like that. Actually, let me look at it.
Joe got that one right, didn't he?
Of course he did. 37-7. He always finds that one game.
The reason why I picked why I didn't pick them was because I didn't think the Tampa Bay team had played anybody. Doing my research.
They played Madison County in week 1, a game that was not finished.
Right.
They were up 14-0 on Madison County at home at Madison County.
Right.
But the game did not finish due to weather. And but all three of us are going with Florida High.
Yep.
Weewa at Franklin County, the woes continue for the Seahawks, not South Walton, but Franklin County. And Weewa going in with the victory there by all three of us. Lincoln at Rickards. Rickards playing a little bit better, but still having a hard time struggling on offense. Lincoln playing really well.
Lincoln's got to go play on that ugly blue turf.
The blue Smurf field?
The Smurf turf.
That's what we should call it from now on if we ever go back there, the Smurf turf.
We're here at Rickards High School. That's funny. That's funny. Lincoln goes into the game 5-1. Bill Rickards 2-4.
Their only loss was to a very good Colquitt County team out of Georgia.
Yep.
All three of us going with Lincoln. They're Taylor County at Wakulla. Wakulla probably the best team. I think one of the best teams in the Panhandle.
Could be.
We're going with Wakulla at home. Gadsden County going to Mariana. Mariana's lost 2 in a row.
Yep.
Joe and I say, make it 3, baby. And Bob's going with the home team, Mariana.
I'm going with Mariana.
Next, we have Graceville at Vernon. It hasn't seemed like Graceville's played a whole lot of games this year.
They're 0-6. Vernon's 2-4.
We're going with the Yellow Jackets at home.
Yep.
Fear the Jacket. Sewanee at Madison County. I think one of the better games this week. Sewanee unbeaten at 6-0. Madison County unbeaten, I believe, at
3-1.
3-1. Okay. So that always a tough place to play at Boot Hill.
Yeah, buddy.
One of the best names of a stadium in the Panhandle and on over into the Big Bend region. But none of us are going with Madison County. We're all going with Sewanee on the road. Monroe Day goes to Maclay. Monroe Day playing much better ball right now. Maclay's down again this year. Seems to be a trend for them.
Yeah, Monroe Day's lost to, I believe, Lincoln, Sewanee, and Wakulla.
All 3 undefeated teams. So we all got Monroe Day in that one. Gulf Breeze, I think this is a Thursday night game.
It is?
I know I'm going to probably mess this up. Tohopa Caliga.
That's good enough for me.
It's over in the Kissimmee area.
Kissimmee, yep.
And I think this has something to do where Coach Gerke used to coach in that area before over in the Orlando area.
Could be.
But Gulf Breeze on the road, their long road trip that's a good 7-hour road trip.
Easy.
But we're going with the Dolphins, all 3 of us.
Yeah.
Too much offense.
Tohopa Caliga. The team out of Kissimmee is 4-2.
Hope, they have no hope.
I mean, we'll see.
They're 2-4 on the season as Gulf Breeze, I believe, is 2-3.
Gulf Breeze 2-4.
2-4.
The team out of Kissimmee is 4-2.
Ooh. I still going with the Dolphins.
Well, it's just again, I doing research on the teams they beat. I just don't think they're very strong.
Okay, so we're all going with the Gulf Breeze Dolphins. Bozeman going to Port St. Joe, looking to stay unbeaten. I think it will be a tighter game than what people think.
Could be.
But I think Bozeman will still pull out and stay unbeaten.
They're 6-0. Port St. Joe's 4-2.
Escambia going to Choctaw, probably the game of the week in the Panhandle,
Most
along
definitely.
with that Leon and Charles in Tallahassee. All of us, no one went with the Indians at home after their 66-point onslaught against the Seahawks. Not for a very good a birthday present for Coach Teza.
Yeah, they put a number on him, boy.
I think he had a birthday over the weekend.
He did.
So happy birthday, Coach.
Yep.
So we're all going with Escambia in that one. Jay at Northview, looking for Jay to bounce back. All 3 of us going with the Royals on the road up to Bratt, Florida. West Florida at Pensacola, the drudging continues for Pensacola.
West Florida's 2-4. Pensacola 0-7.
Probably one of the best 2-4 teams in probably the state.
Could be. West Florida's. And we saw them in the Kickoff Classic.
And they beat Pine Forest as well for one of their two victories.
Right. That's right.
But the matchup, we talked about maybe the big matchup previously, but this is the matchup of the week.
Really?
As Catholic goes to Walton. This will decide Class 2S District 1 champion between these two teams.
Walton's 6-0, and I think Catholic's 5-1, Bill.
Their only loss was to a very good team out of Athens, Georgia.
Yep.
And but that should be one heck of a matchup on Friday night at Catholic. Actually, that one's at Walton.
That's at Walton.
Have to travel over to Walton.
The Funiac. Yep.
Crestview going to Mosley. Crestview not very strong offensively, and they will not score nearly enough to beat Mosley.
Mosley 4-3, Crestview 1-5.
So we're going with Mosley in that one, all three of us. North Florida Christian at Rocky Bayou. This game will be over at the kickoff. I think Rocky Bayou has put up some points, but not against the likes of North Florida Christian.
North Florida Christian 5-2, travel over to Rocky Bayou, who's 3-4.
Okay, next we're gonna
another
big matchup.
Yeah.
Not the big matchup, but it is in District 1, Class 4S. Pace on the road to Tate.
Wow. Pace 5-1, Tate 4-2. Tate, including their loss to Navarre, has scored 42 points in 5 consecutive games.
Wow. Good stat there, Bob. They put 58 up last week against a very strong West Florida defense.
Sure did. That was
who we saw in the Kickoff Classic. But 58-41 was that score. St. John Paul II at Arnold. Arnold scored. You were right. I have to give you props.
What was that?
You were right.
Oh, thank you.
I did not realize that Pensacola until a couple weeks ago was not the only team that had not scored a point. But last week they both went 5 weeks without scoring a point. Well, Arnold finally got on the board last week as they scored 9 against Rutherford in a 23-9 loss. But now they're going up against a team that's kind of had a down year, St. John Paul II. But we look for the Marauders. The Panthers. The Panthers, that's right. Who am I thinking is the Marauders over there?
Arnold has scored.
McClay?
Arnold has scored, has given up 238 points.
And only scored 9. Only team that scored less than them is Pensacola, who's only scored 7. Wow. Bay at South Walton. Look for South Walton to rebound in this one. We're all going with the Seahawks at home. Rutherford at North Bay Haven. Not much of a matchup here. All going with the Buccaneers at home. Freeport at Holmes County. This is a game that will be out of control early on. Holmes County putting up a lot of points.
Two teams going in opposite directions, Bill. Freeport 1-5. Holmes County 5-1.
I almost changed my next pick, but I thought better against it. And I decided to stay. Chipley at Destin. Joe going with Chipley. And you and I going with the home team, the Destin Sharks. 6-1 on this season. Chipley comes in, I believe, at 5-1, 4-1.
4-1.
They've had a couple of bye weeks. That's unusual to have back-to-back bye weeks.
Either that or they played somebody during the hurricanes and the game
Very
got
possible.
canceled.
So Bob and I going with Destin. Joe going with Chipley. Lighthouse PCA off their second win of the season, but they're going to Sneeds, and Sneeds needs to release the Kraken because their offense has been downright shameful this year. But it's time for
shameful.
Jason Patterson. Finally, he's going to break out in this one and have a huge game.
Max Preps has Lighthouse at 3-3. I don't know how accurate that is.
Okay.
Sneeds is 2-4.
Next, we're going to go Washington at Fort Walton Beach. I'd look for the Vikings to get their 4th win on the season, as does Bob and Joe.
Yep.
And we save the best for last.
Of course.
Navarre at Milton. Coach Walls has only lost once to Milton, and that was the last time that we went to Milton 2 years ago in a very low-scoring game. But all of us have the Raiders on the road. And the only teams with open weeks this week are Blountstown, Jefferson County, and Niceville.
Yep, Navarre 4-2, Milton 2-4.
Number that you'll ever do.
Tree Dog Night. Hello.
Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one.
The reason I'm playing that is for the University of Georgia Bulldogs.
Woo.
They have controlled the top spot, and I believe they now have a 22-game winning streak. And it's tough to be on top, isn't it, Bob?
Well, your team and my team, we wouldn't know, but
you got that right.
I had a feeling. But that Kentucky would beat them, but boy, was I wrong. Georgia flexed their muscles and put a mud hole stomping on Kentucky.
Yo, Pierre, you want to come out here?
You got a feeling that's the wrong one. I think I selected the wrong one.
That's a druggy song.
Yeah. We'll push that one aside.
Yeah.
That was not the one I was looking for.
But Georgia.
But anyways, that means we are headed to the college picks.
We are.
And we will pick that Georgia game first since they are the number one team. But after we tell you, Bob and I had the best record last week in college at 19-6. We the man. 19-6. Paul and Joe came in at 17-8. Yeah, gained 2 games.
Not bad.
Which means Bob is the new leader in the clubhouse at 140-19. Joe and I are 2 games back at 138-21. And Paul bringing it up the rear because he only picked 50 games, but he's at 74%, which is mediocre compared to our percentages. 88.1 and 86.8% this far into the season. Week 6. That's pretty darn good.
Paul, you need to step the game up.
Yeah. Do a little bit more research, dude.
Not just the color of their...
No complaints saying you don't have enough time. Well, none of us have enough time. So pick up your game or be left behind.
That's right.
Now our picks for this week. Not a whole lot of differences as I looked at, but there are a couple.
Yep.
Thursday night, we got 2 games, West Virginia at Houston. Houston having a down season this year. We're going with the Mountaineers on the road, all 3 of us.
West Virginia favored by 3, 6 p.m. kick Thursday night on FS1.
So if we all 3, I know Paul isn't here, but last week we decided that if all of us have the same pick, it's the peanut butter jelly pick. PBJ.
Paul, Bob, and Joe.
Yeah. So the first 2 games, SMU. What's SMU?
What's new with you?
SMU heading to East Carolina, and we all are taking the Southern Methodist University Mustangs.
They're favored by 10.5, 6:30 kick on the 4-letter network, ESPN.
Okay, Tulane, the Green Wave, heading to Memphis. Not a very long trip.
Nope.
Memphis, what you got as far as the spread there, Bob?
3, Tulane.
Tulane's favored by 3. And both you and Joe went with Memphis, and I'm going with the Green Wave, as they will wave as they win and walk out of Memphis with the victory.
Memphis, the potential future home of Tyrell Marshall.
Commitment.
6 p.m. kick on ESPN.
Friday night. So they'll be, if they want to watch the game, they can watch that one before ours comes on at 7.
Right.
And then we got Fresno State at Utah State. The Bulldogs get upset last week.
Yeah, what's up with that?
By Wyoming.
Cowboys.
Ugliest uniforms in college football.
You know who's
brown and yellow.
You know who played at Wyoming, don't you?
Yes, I do. Josh Allen.
Besides him, former line coach at Navarre in their early years, Tom Lentz.
Really?
Remember Tom?
I do. Used to be the track coach.
Yep.
And also, I think he was a coach of another team. Was it the golf team?
Yes. Cross country, sorry.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cross country.
He coached my son.
And if you know Coach Lentz, he could not run cross country.
No.
He was also, I believe, a professional wrestler.
He was.
At one time.
Mm-hmm.
Little history. Now, where else can you go to hear facts like that?
Useless trivia.
That's right. Anyways, the last game on Friday night, the late game, so we'll be able to come home and watch the end of a game.
Yeah.
Colorado hosting Stanford. Colorado wins one on the road at Arizona State last week. They get their 4th win on the season, 2 more wins, and they become bowl eligible. And I think they will get one of them this week.
10.5-point favorite over Stanford. May have gone up to 11, 9 p.m. kick on ESPN.
So we'll get to watch a little football when we get home.
Yep.
Now let's head over to Saturday. We've got your team hosting Syracuse, a game that you're possibly going to be at. Have they decided what time?
Yes, they have. We were ESPN had pulled the old stop, and they decided
the old switcheroo.
Yeah. Well, they put it on hold, whatever that means. So pending the outcome of the North Carolina and Syracuse game,
really,
they were going to pick the better game for the primetime game, the 7:30 game. If it was going to be a 7:30 game, we could make it back for Orlando. But
not so fast, my friend.
Yeah, Syracuse. Carolina put a number on them, so Florida State and Syracuse, 11 a.m. kick our time, noon Tallahassee time.
The Orange are struggling.
Florida State favored by 17.5, and this game will be carried on ESPN.
We're all going with Florida State in that one. Missouri at Kentucky. Missouri had a tough game last week. Kentucky had an even tougher game, but they're playing on the bluegrass in Lexington. In this one, Kentucky favored by
2.5.
2.5.
6:30 p.m. kick on the SEC network. I'm going with the other Tigers, not the Wildcats. I picked.
Oh, did you?
I did.
You got a pen? I need to make a correction then. Let me pull. Excuse me while I.
Excuse me. Yeah, thank you.
We're not going to finish that one.
SEC Network, 6:30 kick.
I'm going with Missouri. Okay. Next, we head over to Michigan as they face another cupcake. Indiana Hoosiers come in to number 2 Michigan. All three of us going with the Wolverines. I believe they're favored by 24?
34.
34. I was off a digit.
Yeah. Noon kick, Eastern time, 11 our time on Fox.
Okay. How many timeouts do we have left? How much time on the clock? Oh, Miami, Florida at North Carolina.
Let's take a knee.
God, you kidding me?
Speaking of coach speak.
I did not see that. And Brady goes, did you see the end of that game? And I did not.
I did not, no.
And then when I watched the highlights on Sunday, it's like, that's a rookie coaching decision. But you can't expect to fumble, but you got to expect the worst. And if you kneel, the game's basically over.
It is. Well, the after the game, the press conference, the head coach of Miami said,
"For now,
it's on me." And then
cliche I dislike.
Monday, the offensive coordinator said, "No, wait, it's on me." It's like people, two guys arguing on who's going to pay the tab.
You can have it tonight.
Yeah, well, I'll take a knee. Carolina. North Carolina, I'm not going to take a knee during the national anthem if I play for Colorado, or else I'll be suspended.
That's right.
North Carolina favored by 4, 6:30 kick on A.
We're all going with the team from Chapel Hill.
Chapel College.
Next we got Ohio State going to Purdue. A few years ago, Purdue was a 34-point underdog at home to Ohio State. You can throw that out this year. They're not going to get
Didn't
anywhere.
1 year recently they beat them?
They did. Purdue beat them that night rather easily.
And that was the coach who's now at
Louisville.
At Louisville, yeah. Ohio State favored by 20 in this game, Bill.
Not enough.
Noon kick Eastern on the Peacock Network.
Peacock. Okay, we're going to head back to Tuscaloosa. Alabama starting to get a little bit of a roll going.
Roll going.
That's all I'm going to say.
You
Not
know,
anymore.
You know who's their offense coordinator for Alabama?
Good question.
He used to coach at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Tommy Rees.
I knew that. Probably could have used him last week.
Sure could. Another noon kick, 11 our time, ESPN. I don't know how they're going to do two games on ESPN because Florida State's also playing same time. So maybe on ESPN2 or ESPN Plus. Alabama favored by 20 against one of Joe's teams, Arkansas.
Yep. Joe, a graduate of Arkansas. And next we're going to hit, we're all three taking Bama if you haven't figured that out by now. And next we're going to number 1 Georgia going to Vanderbilt. This game will be ugly early and often. And I'll go on with the Bulldogs there as they continue their winning streak. I think they'll extend it to 23.
Yep. Georgia favored by 31.5. Noon kick on Eastern Time, CBS.
Auburn going to LSU. Auburn always plays LSU tough.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be enough this year. We're all going with the Tigers at home.
LSU's favored by 11.5. 6 p.m. kick on ESPN. Hey, Bill.
Da-da-da, da-da-da.
Hey, Bill.
What's up, Coach?
Well, I just want to say I'm proud of our Tigers. We started winning after that loss to those Seminoles.
Got a question for you, Coach.
Well, what's that, Bill?
Your defense gave up 94 points in the last 2 games.
Oh, I didn't coach no defense. I coached the O-line. Now,
94 points in the last 2 games.
Maybe they need to fire their coach and hire me back.
It's a good possibility. I don't think it will happen, though, Coach. I'm sorry.
LSU, Bill, is favored by 11.5 against the other Tigers.
Is that 11.5 cases of Red Bull?
Yes. Or are they the Plainsmen?
What are they? They can't make up their mind. Are they the Tigers or are they the War Damn Eagles?
They're schizophrenic. But all I want to say is go Tigers.
Go Tigers. And we're all taking LSU in that game. California at Utah. The Utes bounced back last week, and we got them winning this game. UMass, I'm sorry. When you signed up for this game, did your mom send in a letter, or did you want to really go into Happy Valley to face Penn State?
I'm sure it's a money game. They're making their budget. Now UMass, are they Division I? Or are they?
They are Division I, and they got Niceville quarterback Will Koch is on the. I think he's still playing for UMass.
Okay. I was going to say, if they weren't, it was unusual that there was a point spread. Penn State's favored by 42.5.
Ouch.
2:30 kick on BTN. I have no idea what
Big
BTN.
Ten Network.
Okay, duh. By the way, the Utah game, Bill.
Where's
if you
it
want to
at?
watch it,
Is it on Nickelodeon?
it might as well be. It's on the Pac-12 network.
Did you see they had a game last week where they put characters, cartoon characters, and they ran the game simultaneous to the game. So it's like, really? Come on. But anyways, all going with the Nittany Lions there.
Yeah.
This next game should be a pretty good one. Texas A&M heading to Tennessee. We're all going with the Vols. What's the spread there, Bob?
3. 2:30 kick on CBS. Tennessee, Shanky, if you're still listening, don't look ahead because you know who you play next week.
They got Bama next week.
They do.
Wow. And they Wasn't there a team that beat Bama last year during the season?
Possibly.
There's a couple of teams.
Yeah.
But that was Tennessee. And,
3. Boy, I had a hard time with the A&M game. Bill.
I did too. I came very close to picking A&M, but we all ended up going with the Vols.
Every time I picked Jimbo's team, boy, they let me down. I said
even when he was at Florida State.
Yeah, well, there you go. Just put the Christmas tree on the curb.
Okay. Next, we're going to head to Oklahoma State. Playing a little bit better. They're hosting Kansas.
Well, another Kansas team. Oklahoma State played a Thursday or a Friday game last week.
Kansas State.
And beat the Wildcats.
Wildcats.
Which was a surprise. I almost said it. Sorry. The Jayhawks favored by 3.5, 2:30 kick on FS1.
And here is one of my upsets. Kansas goes down in Stillwater. Oklahoma State with the victory. You and Joe have Kansas. Next, we're going to head, probably one of the best college games of the weekend.
Yep.
Oregon, number 7, I believe. Washington's number 7. Oregon's number 8.
Right.
They're going to be playing in, I think,
no,
not at Pullman.
Not at Pullman.
They're going to go up to Eugene, Oregon.
Eugene.
And which is
the game's at Washington.
Is that Washington?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Eugene, Oregon, just outside of Seattle. Is it not? Isn't that where they play? Eugene?
Eugene is where Oregon plays.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Never mind.
Washington.
Seattle.
Gosh, it escapes. Anyway, it's in the state of Washington.
Wherever it's at.
They're favored. The Huskies favored by 3. I'm going with the Ducks.
Going with the Quack Attack.
Yep.
Bob going with the Ducks. Joe going with the Ducks. Irish Bill going with Washington.
You and Nocor.
Yep. Well, Nocor, a graduate of Washington, where he got his first master's degree from. His second one at Arizona State. His bachelor's at Florida State. He ran track at Florida State. So, Iowa at Wisconsin. Badgers playing a lot better on offense the last couple of weeks, and all 3 of us going with the Badgers at home.
Badgers favored by 9.5. You can catch that game, I believe, at 2:30 on Fox.
Okay, next we're going to go to Pullman, Washington.
Yep.
Home of the Washington State Cougs. They're hosting Arizona, who almost knocked off USC last week. But we're all going with the Cougs.
Favored by 8.5. 6 p.m. game on the station that nobody can get, Pac-12.
And the next game, gosh forbid, it will probably come back to haunt me, and I'll probably deserve this. USC coming to Notre Dame. Bob and Joe going with Notre Dame. This is sacrilegious.
You can change your pick, Bill. Notre Dame is favored by 2. This is a 6:30 kick on NBC.
I'm still going with USC.
Okay.
I know, Hail Mary, full of grace, da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to the other place.
Like Father Mulcahy, make a left and a right turn.
Yes. USC struggled last week on defense. Well, they struggle every week on defense. Notre Dame just having a hard time scoring, Bob. That's the reason that I'm going with USC.
Okay.
Now, if they win, so be it. I take a loss. But
You want to just say,
I'm probably doing that with emotions more than actually reality. But
you were mad after
I turned it off in the third quarter.
Oh, my God. You typed some explicative deleteds. You were very...
Luthi, you got some explaining to do.
That's funny. That is hilarious.
NC State going to Duke. We're going with the Dukies there.
Dookie favored by 3, perhaps because they're probably going to be without their starting quarterback.
And this next game, UCLA drove Pac-12 Dave into a Stupor last weekend.
Stupor.
And 25-13 over Washington State.
Yeah.
But they're going to Oregon State, to Beaverton, Oregon. And Oregon State, we're all going with the Beavers in that
7 p.m. kick on Fox. Oregon State's favored by 5, Bill.
Boise State at Colorado State, we're all going with the Blue Smurfs in that one.
And Grady Kelly, I saw.
Big game, 5 tackles last week.
Yeah, 5 tackles.
Having a good redshirt sophomore. I think it's a sophomore season.
Yep. That game is on FS1, 8:45 p.m.
Actually, I think it's a redshirt freshman because he was a freshman last year. Time's just going away.
Well,
from me.
it's
these guys just
plus
they go
with
off to
COVID,
school and
your quarterback's got.
They never write home anymore, and they just. Gosh. We lose track of them. They're just growing like weeds.
Grady's coming into his own, Bill.
He sure is. You could possibly see that young man playing on Sundays in the near future.
Could be.
But all of us going with Boise State in that one.
Yep.
And San Diego State taking their longest road trip. There's only one way to get there. Well, there's 2, but the other one would take quite a while. San Diego State heading to Hawaii.
San Diego State favored by 5. 10 p.m. game on CBS Sports Network.
Well, normally we go to break, but I think we need to keep talking more football.
Bill.
Before we do, does this?
I could be wrong.
Does this need an intro? Do I need to play a? Is that good enough intro
wrong.
for you?
I looked on ESPN. Either it's not this week, obviously. I think starting next week, we're going to have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Christmas come early.
And Saturday games.
Then, if you're an NFL fan, Sunday and Monday.
Yep.
So basically 7 straight days of football.
I'm going to a coma.
Is it December 25th yet?
Don't open till Christmas.
Yeah.
We're going to go into a football
frenzy.
Coma.
Coma. You mean foosball?
Foosball.
Mama thinks foosball's the devil.
Gatorade.
H2O. Anyways, we missed this last week.
Yeah.
We didn't get to this either day last week.
Did you go to West Florida played shorter?
I did not.
Played West Florida.
I stayed home. It was a long night. Friday night.
Yeah.
We got home after midnight after we went to Buffalo Wild Wings for a quick bite. And then up early at 5 o'clock to get ready for the
morning show.
Southern Gentleman Sports Show.
They invited you back.
They did invite me back, and it was nice to be back in the seat. But I had to pay a little homage to Tom from Myrtle Beach and Vaughn Broadnax and Josh from Ohio, as they are all Ohio State fans, because I was not on the week previously. So
they let you have it.
So no, they were actually pretty good sports. But I did give my congrats to them because they did end up winning that game. But let's get to the Gulf South Conference. This is where the metal meets the road as we're deep into district play. Delta State on top, 6-0, 4-0 in conference. West Florida right behind them at 3-0 in conference. We'll give you conference records only. West Georgia 2-1, North Greenville 2-2, Mississippi College 1-2, Shorter 1-3, being their usual shorter self. West Alabama 1-3, and Chowan bringing up the rear as they should. North Greenville over Chowan last week, 31-16. Delta State over Valdosta State, and previously unbeaten Valdosta State rather easily. The Statesmen go in and knock off Valdosta State 49-25. Shorter came to town. It was a longer trip home.
They did kick a field goal.
42-3, West Florida over Shorter. West Florida's playing some pretty strong defense right now.
Did Brady go to that game?
He did not.
Okay.
West Georgia gets a win in conference play as they beat West Alabama 24-6. Here's your schedule this week. Clark Atlanta from the Atlanta area, downtown Atlanta area. They're going to Shorter, not for a very long trip.
Where's Shorter?
Shorter is in Rome, Georgia, which is about 65 to 70 miles from downtown Atlanta. West Florida will be going to West Alabama, over to Livingston, Alabama.
Okay.
It's about a 215-mile trip from Navarre, all back roads. Valdosta State going over to Clinton, Mississippi. One B.B. Brown will be in attendance at that game. I think he's got an invite from Mississippi College to come over and watch that game.
Okay.
Things you learn when you watch IB's Twist on Sports.
And
he's a tight end for Navarre. Who, if you don't know who B.B. Brown is, then where you been?
He'll see a former teammate, I believe, offensive lineman playing for Valdosta.
He transferred. He's playing at McNeese State.
Oh, that's right.
Elijah Melendez at McNeese State.
You told me that.
West Florida going to West Alabama, Chowan to West Georgia, and North Greenville to Delta State. And that's your Gulf South wrap-up. And we got one of our guys, Paul Villanova. His daughter, Sophia, is a cheerleader for West Florida.
I saw that, yeah. Congratulations, Sophia.
Next, let's head over to this Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. I practiced that one all day.
Like Villanova?
Yes. Our scores last week, Fort Valley State over Savannah State, 38-24. Allen over Clark Atlanta, 35-27. Albany State over Central State, 48-0. Miles loses a tough one at home, 27-24. After being down 21-3, they came back and took a 24-21 lead, but Benedict scores late to stay unbeaten, 6-0, 4-0 in conference. Miles drops their first conference game at 3-1. Edward Waters over Lane, 37-30. Grand Valley State over Kentucky State, and Tuskegee goes to Atlanta to beat Morehouse 40-28. Your conference leader standings as of right now: Fort Valley State 5-0, Benedict and Tuskegee 4-0, Miles College 3-1, Albany State 4-0 as well. Allen 3-1. Allen is out of Columbia, South Carolina area, as is Benedict. Edward Waters at 3-2. Savannah State 1-3. Lane College 1-4. And bringing up the rear, Central State, Kentucky State, Morehouse College, and Clark Atlanta all 0-4 in conference play. This week's schedule: Fort Valley State at Benedict, Miles at Morehouse, Clark Atlanta at Shorter, Savannah State at Central State, Edward Waters at Tuskegee, Allen at Albany State, and Kentucky State at Lane in Jackson, Tennessee.
You mentioned two of those schools are in downtown Atlanta.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a rivalry there.
Morehouse is a all-men's college.
Okay.
They're a mile apart from each other.
Yeah.
It's so close that when I went up to one of Brady's games at Clark Atlanta, I parked in the parking garage, which I thought was for Clark Atlanta. It was actually for Morehouse. So I had to walk a mile to the game.
Wow.
But luckily it was a nice day, and I found my way, didn't get lost.
That was really
a mile apart from each other.
Really stunk if it had been raining.
And Clark Atlanta has one of those stadiums where there's only seating on one side.
I see.
And there's grass on the other side where they seat. It's next to the dormitories on the campus of Clark Atlanta. Okay. Nice field.
Yeah.
But there's your SIAC and Gulf South Conference. And we're going to talk more high school football, but we're going to wait till tomorrow night to talk high school football. But so what'd you think, Bob? How's it feel to get back in the seat?
I'm back in the saddle again.
Really?
I missed, I've been with Emerald Coast Middle School football, doing the stadium announcing. And I think I made our head coach mad because I told him that I was going to be out of town for the championship game this Thursday. I'll let you know next week who wins. They play Walton Middle, a rematch of contest earlier in the year where Emerald Coast beat them 28-0. But that's why you play the game.
You probably know Vistaprint for business cards. Yeah, we print that. But did you know we also print that?
Oh, you've got to play the Gene Autry one, man.
This is the updated version. You're right, I do got to play the It's back in the saddle. You get the point. You're back in the saddle.
Back in the saddle again. I want to thank Paul Villanova, who will be filling in for me
Friday night.
2
Tuesdays ago. He filled in for you.
And he's going to be at the game, a Milton game. I take it the Navarre Band is going to Milton.
I'm pretty sure they usually go to Milton.
And so we expect Riley to
Raider Riley,
and enjoy those chicken on a stick.
Oh man, aren't those the best? They're the only place you don't ask to be fed; they feed you. And it's not they're going to give you one or two. How many you want?
They bought a box, looked like a box top lid, full of them in bags, individual. Each of us had a bag.
You know, and every time I go up to Milton, we get taken care of every single time.
Very, very hospitable. I've got connections in the concession stand with the band.
Do you?
I do.
Is that why we get taken care of?
Ouch! Pull the knife! Pull the knife out of my back. Well, there you go. But my mom's family's from Sicily.
Really?
Yeah, Palermo. And some of my family would carry around violins cases. But
did they have violins in those cases?
Negative, ghostwriter.
I think I knew the answer to that question before I even asked it.
Yeah, I'll have to hit up the. And maybe the reason is because the state, Paul and them get fed, is because they announce, hey, go get and some of the best pulled pork sandwiches ever. So our last game, senior night for the football players, I'll pull my connections.
Those are some good sandwiches. We actually had a couple extra one game. I took them home, waiting to eat them for lunch. They didn't make it to lunch. Brady and his buddies got a hold of them, and they were gone before I got home.
They Mr. and Miss Stevens, right? I guess he's like you. He takes off on Fridays. He starts cooking those Boston butts at 9 a.m.
Yum.
Ray, thank you.
Ray Stevens? Didn't he sing The Streak? There he goes. Look at there. There he goes. He's just in the mood to run in the nude. Here we are sitting at the basketball playoff. I'm going to have to play that tomorrow night now. The Streak.
Yeah, it is. I guess it is, Ray. I never thought of it that way. Right, they're good friends of ours. His daughter Julia plays with the Marching Chiefs for Florida State.
Well, before we sign off, we gotta tell you about. I posted this on my
Where are
Facebook
they now,
page.
Bill?
Yeah, glad you asked, Bob. Michael Carter, he's playing for the Jets in his third season. He had 8 yards rushing and 14 yards receiving on 3 receptions last week in a 31-21 win over Denver. Houston Astros outfielder Michael Sandel, their season has been completed. 10 home runs, 33 RBIs, 16 stolen bases, 202 average, down a little bit this year from his career 246 average, and his OPS slipped from 719 down to 620. So there's Michael Sandel. LSU's defensive lineman Jordan Jefferson had a solo tackle in the 49-39 win over Missouri this past week. Temple's wide receiver Dante Wright, 4 receptions, 37 yards, and a win and a loss to UTSA 49-34. East Tennessee State wide receiver Quinn Caballero. He had no stats in a 24-6 loss to Mercer. He's a senior playing at East Tennessee State. Huntington College's wide receiver Tyler England, 2 receptions, 42 yards, 1 punt return, 15 yards, and a 23-0 29-3 loss to Belhaven. Eastern Kentucky University running back Josh Carter, they were on a bye week this past week. McNeese State offensive lineman Elijah Melendez, he started in a 31-10 loss to Nichols. Actually, that did not change, and that was actually a loss to Texas A&M Commerce.
Right.
They fall to 0-6. North Carolina Wesleyan quarterback Zachary Marquis did not play in a 35-14 win over LaGrange. Huntington College Bailey Houston had no stats in that 29-3 loss to Belhaven. Colorado State defensive lineman Grady Kelly, 5 solo tackles on a 44-24 loss to Utah State. Weber International defensive back Derek Percival, 4 tackles and a 17-9 loss to Southeastern University. University of West Florida Devin Wright didn't play in a 42-3 win over Shorter. Warner University Davian Hardy did not play in a, check out the score, 72-19 loss to Florida Memorial. Kennesaw State offensive lineman Ethan Newman did not play in a 27-20 loss to Tennessee State. Eddie George, the head coach there at Tennessee State. And Birmingham Southern defensive lineman Isaac Cole did not play in a 38-32 win over Sewanee. Sewanee, you're thinking, no, not that Sewanee. Sewanee used to be one of the best college football programs in the country.
I remember.
No longer, as their school enrollment has dwindled, and but they lost to Birmingham Southern 38-32.
Were they officially named the University of Sewanee? Was their official name, or the college at Sewanee?
I think it was college.
College at Sewanee was their official name. Yes, they're all university colleges, Bob. But I thought, part of their name was. Good to be back, Bill.
You're gonna be back with me tomorrow night too?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
right is right.
Got to get some of that good eats over there at Buffalo Wild Wings. But you still got time. They're still open, I think, for about another 45 minutes to an hour here at Culver's in downtown Navarre. So if you get a hankering for some custard, head on over with the best custard in the area here at Culver's of Navarre.
Well,
I think we're going to call it a night, Bob.
I think we need to call it a night, Bill.
Okay. From Buffalo, here we go. From Culver's in downtown Navarre, Seminole Bob, Irish Bill. We hope that you enjoyed tonight's podcast, IB's Twist on Sports. We'll be back tomorrow night from Buffalo Wild Wings. Until then, have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.